Hello friends, I welcome you all to our YouTube channel Adapt, Learn and Grow Together. In this session, we will discuss about indirect function. Let us now discuss what is an indirect function. An indirect function returns the reference specified by a text string. It is a very powerful tool which might look confusing initially, but once understood can really be helpful. Let us now move towards our Excel sheet for hands-on. So this is our Excel sheet and the data shown here is captured from row number 2 till row number 5. It captures the monthly sales, expense and profit for January, February and March month. We will be using this data to understand the working of indirect function. Starting with our first example, in cell C9 there is a formula mentioned. It calls indirect function with parameter B9. So indirect function will search for the B9 cell and will take the value present in cell B9, which is B3, and will populate or return the value present in the cell B3. So it is picking the reference from the input cell and then it is returning the value which is present in the referenced cell. Let us take another example. In this example, we are using the indirect function with the input parameter given as B10. So as per the indirect formula, we will first go to cell B10. This is the cell B10 and we will pick the value present here as a reference to the output cell. So E5 is the value which is present in cell B10, which becomes a reference. It will search for E5 function and will return the value present there, which is 46,000. Moving to example 2, here we will be using the concept of named ranges. In the second example, the requirement here is to get the total sales amount, to get the total expense amount and to get the total net profit. To get these numbers, let us define a name to these ranges. So for sales, we have defined a named range sales. For expense in amount, we have defined the named range as expense, and for profit amount we have defined named range called as profit. Since the requirement was to get the total sales, total expense and net profit, we will be using indirect and sum function along with named ranges to get the final output. Let us see how the formula would be applied. So we know that we have to sum these three cells which are part of a named range called sales. So by applying the formula mentioned here, we are saying that sum all the values which is present in the name of the range in the cell B13. So it refers to the cell B13 to get the reference of the named range, which is sales, and then it sums all the values which are present in the sales named range. So if I add these three values, we can see here that we are getting the same sum which has been populated as an output in the cell C13. On similar lines, we can calculate the total expense and net profit by using the named ranges expense and profit. Let us now move to our third example. Here we will be using indirect function in the SUMIF function to calculate the sales, expense and profit of only January month. So in the previous example, we calculated the total sales, which included sales in January month, sales in February month, and sales in March month. Now here we are looking for the sales, expense, and profit of the month January. Let us now see how indirect function will work with SUMIF function. So we have to calculate the sales of January month. So one thing which we know is that if we use indirect function, we would be passing the input parameter as sales or expense or profit to get the final output. But this final output would be a filtered output. So in the case of sales, when we are saying that we want the sales of January month, we have applied a SUMIF function in which we have passed our first criteria, which is the range, as B3 to B5. We are saying that select the row present in B3 till B5 which has the value as Jan, which is a criteria, and then sum the values which we have filtered for the Jan month. So we will see that we are using indirect function with the parameter B18, which is giving us a text output of sales, which becomes a reference for the named range of sales. So it will only sum the values that are present in the January month, and for the summation it will pick the values present from C3 till C5 or the values which are present in the named range sales, which is getting picked from formula B18. Let us take another example here. Instead of sales, now we are interested in getting the net profit, but again only for January month. We can achieve this by having the named range and applying indirect and SUMIF function. So if we see the formula here, it starts with the SUMIF function, which is telling us that there is a condition basis which the final result would come. In the SUMIF function, first parameter is the range. So we have to enter the range on which the criteria would be applied. So our range is starting from B3 to B5, and the value that will act as a criteria is January. Hence we are considering for summation only the values of the January month. In the last parameter, it captures the sum range, and in our case it is indirect B20, because when indirect B20 is called, it first goes to the B20 cell, which is captured here as profit. Then it will use this profit to go to named range called as profit, and inside the named range profit, SUMIF will make sure that only the row which has month as January is picked for summation. Since there is only one row which is there for January month profit, we will get the output as 15,000. So to conclude, indirect function can be used with other functions as well, and in the indirect function the value present in the input parameter becomes the reference of our actual values. Indirect function can be used for creating dependent drop-down lists as well. For now, we should make sure that we understand the working of the indirect function. I hope you found this session helpful. If you have any questions, need further clarifications, or would like to share a feedback, please share the same in the comment section. We will meet again next week to learn some more Excel functions. I would like to thank you all for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications.